Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Wandering Works for Us. We are Shelley and Beth, a married couple living in Portugal and traveling the world. These are our stories. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast, Wandering Works for Us. I'm Shelley.
And I'm Beth.
Yay! And today is a beautiful day.
It is. It's lovely outside.
Well, it was.
Oh, it's kind of cloudy now. We've had a weird summer. We have. Weather-wise.
Strange summer weather-wise.
It has something to do with El Nino.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been too cloudy and cold for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering why we moved here.
We're not moving back.
No, we're not moving back. Anyway, it is August. It's the end of August as we're recording this, and we'll probably get it to you next week, the first week of September. But guess what?
What?
We've been podcasting for a whole year.
That's great.
Yay!
Happy birthday to us. Slash podcast.
Yay! So we kind of want to take a moment and thank everyone that has been listening to our podcast, that's been supporting us, who've sent us little messages and comments that were nice.
That were nice. Well, I don't think we've gotten any nasty ones.
No, I don't think we have, really.
We should shout out to one of our OG listeners, Denise Hamilton.
Thank you, Denise.
I think she's been listening from the very beginning.
Well, we really appreciate that.
We do.
So much.
As have some of our best friends, but, we expect that of them.
Yes. Turn your mic down.
Okay.
Anyway, we've also gotten to meet some of our followers that have come to Portugal and just said hello to us.
That has been really fun.
That has been great. You want to tell the story outside the Serrana? When you were walking by?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So I was sitting outside our cafe, and a family group came up that was visiting, as family groups tend to do in August here. And it was several of them. They were getting chairs and tables together and moving things around. And I ended up saying, hey, you can take my table too. I'll move over here. And so we chatted for a minute. They were speaking English, so I asked where they were from, and they're from Canada. And one of the people that was in the group said, hey, are you Wandering Works for Us?
We're famous.
I didn't know what to do. She listens to our podcast.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for listening to our podcast.
Indeed.
And then we also have Bridget and Louise came to visit.
That was truly a highlight of the summer.
That was a highlight of the summer. Bridget and Louise live in Massachusetts, but their families are from here. Louise's family is from Praia da Costa Nova, and he came back to visit. Well, they both came back to visit this August. As we said, everyone comes to visit in August.
It's a thing.
And they messaged us and said, hey, let's get together and have coffee. We'd love to meet you, chat you up. And that was a really night. It was great.
It was really fun.
We had a good time.
And hopefully they're coming back for a special birthday that's going to be happening. And we hope to see them again.
Yes, we hope to keep in touch with you guys. So Bridget and Louise.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys. So glad to meet you. So, hey, if you're coming to Portugal and you want to have coffee, well, let us know early, because we tend to leave and go on, road trips like the one we're still talking about.
Yes. Part 3 and the last part of our epic road trip.
So we traveled back down from Spain and decided to end our road trip in Aveiro, which is known as the Venice of Portugal.
It is indeed.
Why is it the Venice of Portugal?
Because they have canals.
They have canals. Now, they don't have as many canals as Venice does.
No, but they have a lot of canals.
They have a few, yeah.
And they're wide. And they have I'm not going to remember what they call those boats. The traditional boats, they look kind of like the ones in Venice. And you can get a ride in those. That is something we have yet to do. We meant to do it this last road trip. And
Moliceiro boats.
Very good.
I wrote it down.
Yeah.
And I may have mispronounced that. But did you know those boats originally used for collecting seaweed?
Actually, I did.
I didn't know that till the other day.
Ah.
I was doing some research because, blog post.
And why did they collect seaweed?
Well, why you have to ask me that?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I don't know. They ate it. They used it for something. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever it was important.
Yeah.
I don't know why
they have boats to do it in.
Yeah. So now you can use those boats to take a nice little ride down the canals. And I've heard mixed reviews on these boat rides, because we haven't done it yet. Bridget said it was really great. She enjoyed the experience, although some other boats had some sort of musical experience that she would have rather had.
Oh.
And then Bonnie and Priscilla went on the trip too. And they said, well, it was kind of short. There weren't that many canals and, it was okay. So I haven't,
Yeah,
I guess we'll have to tell you when we finally do it.
Yeah, we're not sure what to expect exactly. But the boats are gorgeous. They make beautiful photographs floating there in the water, and we'll definitely do it.
It's nice
at some point.
Yeah, we planned to do it this past trip, but I had to cut it short. I was tired of not being at home.
We cut our trip short by a day, a night and a day, and came on home so Shelley could sleep in our bed.
Yeah, because I was over it. I think the big part is when we travel, we usually put in a day somewhere where we rest, where we don't have anything planned, that we can either stay put wherever we are or we can do something easy. And we hadn't really planned to do that. We didn't have any of those days.
We really didn't. That was an error.
Yeah. And we also, this time, did all hotels instead of Airbnbs.
We did, which we had actually, you and I together, had never done before.
No.
Because we usually stay in Airbnbs or Vrbo. I'm trying, quite frankly, maybe to, depend less on some of that. And so I thought, well, let's check out some hotels and see what we think. And
yeah, as we, there's a lot of flack out there about Airbnb raising the price of properties and people being kicked out of their homes over the summer to rent them out as Airbnbs.
Yeah.
We don't want to be any part of that. So, we tried hotels this time. And the one thing I can say is I miss having a kitchen, because when you're in hotels all the time and you're traveling like that, eating out is your go-to.
Yes, and I think the ideal is, if we were gone 8 nights again, hotel it at the beginning and hotel it at the end, and in the middle somewhere, stay 3 days in a rental, maybe not through Airbnb, but through Vrbo or something else.
Yeah, just somewhere that has a kitchen.
Yeah, to give us a little break from restaurants. And
because, of course we can order takeout, which we did one night, but I hate eating in a hotel room.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Shelley,
it's not enough room.
Shelley is a bloodhound, in case no one knew that.
Yeah.
She can smell things from literally, I think, a mile off. And the smell of the food, like when she goes to bed at night, the stuff that's in the trash can or whatever, it really bothers her. So she doesn't like to do that.
No.
But next time we need to be a little more creative with it. So, because I too was tired of eating out.
Yeah. So I think that's part of the reason why I was ready to come home anyway. So we had to cut Aveiro short, but it's only an hour and a half from where we live.
Yeah.
So it's not like we can't go anytime we want. But
yes.
For those of you that can't go anytime you want, here's what we recommend you do.
Yes.
There.
Now, how far south of Porto is Aveiro?
It's an hour and a little bit of tiny change on a train.
Okay.
So if you wanted to take a day trip, yeah, it wouldn't take you more than an hour on a train. Well, maybe just a tiny bit more than an hour on a train, not more than an hour and a half. And if you wanted to do, a guided trip, then it's probably less, because driving that way is
straight on the highway,
faster than the train. So yeah, it's pretty easy. And the first time we went to Aveiro, we did it from Coimbra.
Yes, we did.
We were staying in Coimbra. We were looking for a place to live in Portugal, and we were trying all these different cities. Y'all, we did like 5 cities in 15 days?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
It was too much.
It was too much. It was a lot.
But it exhausted us, but it did what it was supposed to do, which is it narrowed down for us the area where we wanted to live.
Yes. while we were in Coimbra, we decided we did not want to live there.
Right.
It just wasn't our vibe. It wasn't our place. But we wanted to check out Aveiro. So we hopped on a train in Coimbra, and it took a little less than an hour to get there by train from Coimbra. So you could do a day trip from there, too, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And we spent the day in Aveiro and walked around, and we were like, yeah, we're coming back here. And so we went back to Coimbra and packed our bags because it was the last night in our Airbnb there anyway, and rented one in Aveiro.
And went there for a while.
This was in November, so it was easy to find a place to stay. We don't recommend you do any of this in August. August is booked. Have we told you how crowded it is in August?
Yes, it's August is a whole different thing in Portugal. But it was November, so it was easy, and we went down, and we, spoiler alert, we like Aveiro so much that we looked for a place to live there. Really, the only reason we're not living there, I guess, is because we couldn't find a place that would take us and our animals.
Yeah, we have 2 big dogs and a cat, so it was hard to find somewhere that would take pets.
Yeah. So when that was a dead end, then we ended up coming back to the area that we already knew we loved, and here we are. And I'm really glad.
We made the right choice.
We made the total right choice. It was meant to be, but I really like Aveiro.
Yeah. And we, of course, want to spend more time there because we still haven't gotten to do everything that we want to in all the visits that we've done. But we definitely want to go back.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the stuff that we have done.
All right. So Aveiro has canals.
Come on, Shelley.
And there's one main canal that cuts pretty much through the old town. And the way that I'm going to describe it is like north of the canal is an old town area that has the fish markets. They have cute little shops. It's great walking through there. And it's where the Art Nouveau Museum is, which is one of the places we want to go that we've yet to go to.
I can't wait to go.
But you will notice there's a lot of Art Deco and a lot of Art Nouveau architecture in Aveiro.
A lot. A lot of the buildings were built during those times when those styles were very popular. And there are some great examples of buildings in both of those styles.
And so I would recommend walking around, go to the fish market, eat at one of the restaurants on the canals. They have great restaurants down there. Do your souvenir shopping in that area. And that's kind of the northern end of the canal. And then once you come back to the main canal, and even in the fish market area, you're going to see all of the places that you can catch a boat ride.
Oh, yes.
I would shop around for one. Personally, if we're going to do it, I'd walk to each one and find out how much it's going to be and what's offered. Is somebody like just driving me on a boat, or are they giving me a tour, and telling me about it?
I think that's a good idea.
I would definitely shop around for that. But that main area there too, right in front of the canal, has the original place, or it may not be the original place, but it's a famous place where you can try the delicacy, the Ovos Moles.
Yes.
Which...
Well, you should say
it's
a pastry.
What they are. It is a pastry. It is a sweet. You would have it, for a little dessert or a little snack.
And they traditionally, it's sort of like a molded outside, if you will. They're molded into different shapes, into different things. So they're like, there's a barrel and there's a fish. And do you remember what other shapes there were?
Most of the time, they're kind of just like almost egg-shaped. Or
it's like a little barrel.
But the outside is, I can't describe it any other way than to say it's kind of like a communion wafer.
Yeah.
It's that same texture, that same kind of, I want to call it styrofoam, but that's not what it is at all. It's a sweet, maybe it's made from the egg whites. It's kind of a meringue sort of thing, but it's a mold. It's sticky and it holds in the egg yolks.
Yes.
And so the middle of it is egg yolky with sugar, basically.
Yeah.
It's an egg yolky sugar kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm not making it sound very appetizing, and that's mainly because I don't think it's appetizing.
Yeah, Beth here, who hasn't met a sweet pretty much she's never liked, that she hasn't liked. And I actually don't like them either. Now, I know there are people that love them.
They are famous.
Yay for them.
Yes, and try one. Definitely try one.
Yeah, don't let us, turn you off of them.
Sway you from this just because we don't like them. But I think it's a texture thing for me.
It might have been texture for me, too.
Yeah, the way that they're just made.
Yeah. But again, you guys decide for yourself.
But try the
and let us know, what do you think?
Yes.
They're all over the place in Aveiro. You can't miss them.
Oh, yeah. No, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But there's one place down there that you can get a little tour and they'll show you how they're made. And then you can sit outside and have a coffee and eat some. And
are you going to mark that?
Yeah, it's
Put
in
a
the
link
blog
on the
post.
blog? It is? Okay.
There's a link on the blog post. And this time in the blog post, I'm actually including a Google Map list. So all the places that we talk about, we recommend, they're on a Google Map and you can go in and look at it.
Oh, very cool. Very nice.
Trying something new, y'all.
So let's go. We've been to Aveiro 3 or 4 times?
Four times if you count that day trip.
Okay. So when we went in on the train that day and then for that 3 days during that same week, we saw the train station. And the train station has gorgeous blue tiles on the outside.
Yeah, so you come in on the brand new one that's huge. It's a big train station. It's got several different platforms. But when you come out and you look to the right, you will see the old train station.
Oh, yes, that's right.
It's the old one.
Yeah, it's small.
And it is beautiful. Take some pictures of the tiles that are on the front before you walk down the main road to get to the old town. I don't think there's much on that main road that you can see. I mean, there's shops.
Yeah,
and there's restaurants.
It's where
a lot
cafes
of people live there. There's some cafes.
Yeah, it's where a lot of people live as you're coming down toward where all the canal area is and everything. Walking down that big wide street.
And if you go off to the left from the train station, instead of going straight down the main road, you end up at the end of one of the canals, and there's a beautiful park out there.
Oh, yes.
And there's also a ceramic museum, I think, is right in there.
Really?
Yes, that building we kept passing going, what is that? Is that a government building? It's a ceramic museum.
Oh, we got to go to that.
Yeah, so we missed that this time. But, yes,
okay.
There's one down there, so you ought to check it out.
We will do that.
So once you've gone on your boat ride and you've seen all the canals, the south end of the main canal is divided into a couple of little neighborhoods, and one of them is Glória. And that neighborhood, you go up that main road that's Rua de Coimbra, and it's just it's a walkable road. I'm not sure you can drive up it. I'm not sure if I've seen people drive. Maybe. I can't remember. Gosh.
Yeah.
But on the right-hand side of the road as you're walking up it is this beautiful ceramic mural.
Oh, yes.
On the side. So you got to stop and see that because it's beautiful. Aveiro has a lot of great street art.
It does. A lot of street art, a lot of ceramics.
A lot of tile work.
Yeah. Very nice.
So definitely while you're walking around, take note of that. And then, of course, on the left-hand side, they've got a few tourist areas where you can buy the pastry, the bacalhau pastry, and you can get ginja, and you can stop into a cafe and get wine. But that whole little area is great for walkable. I'm going to say it's more local than the other part, the northern part. The northern part, to me, felt more like geared toward tourists in that area. But the Glória part is for people that live in Aveiro.
And what's the name of that? I'm going to call it the Pink Cafe.
The M Bakery.
The M Bakery. Yeah, that was a really nice, not super Portuguese, if you will.
It's probably more French.
Yeah, more French/English. And they had really good breakfast, brunch, pastries, coffees, teas. And it's in a really nice square there.
Yeah. It's a great little place to walk around back there. And there, of course, there's some pubs and there's cafes and lots of restaurants. As a matter of fact, one of the restaurants that we went to, try not to judge us too hard on this one. But sometimes, as Americans, we miss food from back home. And so we ended up at a taco place in Aveiro. But they had the greatest tacos.
Oh, they were so good.
Taco Loco or something like that?
I think it was Loco Taco
Loco,
Yeah.
whatever it was. We enjoyed it. We gorged on tacos.
We loved that place.
Guacamole. You know, that's something that's not very common where we are.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's becoming more common as we've seen. But yeah, when we found out that place was in Aveiro, we had to stop in there.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that whole area to the... Let's see if I can describe it correctly. If you follow the canal down on the right-hand side, because you'll notice as you're there in the middle square, the canal and the main roads kind of go over the canal, and there's bridges and there's walkways, and there's this big giant building that's kind of in the middle of the canal, and that's sort of like the city center right there. And you can either go off to the left of the canal, which heads you back toward the train station, or you can go off to the right. And if you go off to the right, you run into the Aveiro Forum.
Yeah, which is like an outdoor mall.
It's an outdoor mall.
Yeah, there's a food court.
With a food court and everything.
Yeah, and there are bridges that you can walk over, you know, from one side to the other, going over that part of the canal. And they have a tradition of you can buy a ribbon from a vendor, and you can write on it whatever you want to, and then they tie them on those bridges on the railings, and so you'll see a lot of them around Aveiro. It's kind of a takeoff from the locks of love in Paris, and you still see locks. They're actual, like, you put on your locker kind of lock with a key, but the problem with those is like the original bridge in Paris, they eventually had to remove them all because it was actually damaging the bridge.
It's too heavy,
the
man.
weight, the weight of it.
Oh, there's lots.
So this is a ribbon kind of thing, and
There's a lot of ribbons.
yeah, so you'll see a lot of them on the bridges.
Yes, but they're beautiful too.
Yeah,
And
they
so you take a
flutter in the
little
wind.
walk across and see the boats coming down the canal. It's kind of romantic.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's very sweet. I also want to mention that I forgot, because every place we go, we end up in a monastery, convent, or cathedral.
We do.
It's a thing. We always, we got to go see the cathedral, or we happen to be walking by it, and we've yet to see the cathedral monastery in Aveiro.
We will correct that.
We will correct that, but there is a museum there used to be a convent, a 15th century convent that has been turned into the Museum of Aveiro, and it's got a lot of religious art in it. And from what I have read, it sounds fantastic, especially if you like religious art. I think I've seen enough to last me forever, but I will go one more time. And then the cathedral, of course, is there that you can visit too.
There are several smaller churches as well in Aveiro. I'm not sure that we have been to any of them, but if I flip through my folder of pictures from all of our trips, I all of a sudden see, 4 or 5 that I've taken pictures of.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of churches to go into.
Yeah.
But the main cathedral and the museum they're a little bit past the forum. They're out sort of that way, maybe a few blocks.
One of the really cool things that we did this past time in Aveiro that we finally got to was we went out to see the salt flats.
Yes. I never thought I would be so fascinated with
They're
squares of water.
they're really fascinating. Yeah, Aveiro has one of the largest areas of salt flats.
Traditional salt flats, as in they traditionally mine the salt from these areas.
Yes, and so briefly, how do they do that, Shelley?
I wish I could tell you.
Okay, well, I'll tell you then.
Okay.
At least the basics. They flood. Okay, so first of all, it's little square. They're really usually more like rectangles. They're almost like little fields, if you will, but they have walls of some kind. Sometimes it's mud that's built up about maybe 2 feet.
Maybe.
Sometimes it's more of a structure kind of thing, wood or whatever, and they flood, and there's, lots of them as you look out. And they flood them with seawater in a certain time. When is it? It's
They start
the
in
winter?
Well, they start cleaning it in the spring.
Oh, okay.
They flood them about that time, and then you got to wait all summer for the water to evaporate.
Yeah. So
they can
basically,
mine the salt.
yeah. So basically, the water evaporates and it leaves salt. in all of the contained fields. And it's just, I think it's really interesting
And
to
they go
see
out
them.
there, with shovels and just shovel it up in a big pile and bring it out.
It's amazing how much salt it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what I also liked about that is there was a canal that goes right next to the salt flats. It leads out into the Aveiro, the Rua de Aveiro area, which is kind of like a lagoon.
That then goes on to the ocean.
Yeah, that leads out into other inlets and rivers and eventually out into the ocean. And we got to see how the locks work with boats coming in and out of the canals.
Only one, a lock.
Yeah. There might be another one out there.
It was the
but I don't
smallest
know if
one I've ever seen.
Small lock.
Yeah.
But I guess it keeps the canals from the tide making it too low or too high during the day.
Yes, it keeps it more
keeps
consistent.
the water level normal.
Yeah.
Or consistent. Yeah. So that was cool to watch.
It was, because there's a little bridge that goes over and you can literally stand there, and if a boat's coming through, a small boat, I mean, it's just for small boats.
Yeah, the bigger boats were anchored actually out into the lagoon.
Yeah.
You can see them from there. These were like very small,
like fishing boats.
People fishing John boats.
Kind of thing. Yeah, and so we watched a couple of boats do the lock process and saw the water rise and fall, and I don't know.
That was neat.
We're geeky about that kind of thing. It was fun.
I was more impressed with that than I was the salt flats. I was like, yep, that's salt. Ooh, what's that boat doing?
Yeah, it was fun. So we finally got out to do that. And anything else in Aveiro that we want to talk about? I feel like we haven't talked about Aveiro enough. I mean, it's
a city that's big enough to have a university there.
Yes.
But it's not too big that it feels overwhelming.
Correct. It's very walkable, and it's very clean, and it has
friendly,
great street art and tiles, as we mentioned earlier. It's just, there's good food there. It's just a very enjoyable, easy walk around kind of place. I really like it.
I enjoyed it myself.
Yeah. There is a place, though, that's very close to Aveiro, which, since we were on our road trip, we had our car and we drove out to there, but you can take a bus or a tour or a train.
Are we going to talk about Costa Nova first?
Yeah. That's what I'm going to do.
Oh. I didn't know you could take a train to Costa Nova.
Okay, it's probably not a train. I was going to ask you which it is.
Oh, I would do a bus probably.
Okay.
Or an Uber. It's really not that far.
It's really not. So you can get out there if you don't have a car, is my point, I guess.
Oh, gotcha. Yes, okay.
But we drove because we had our car. And it was, 20 minutes away? 25, maybe?
Maybe only with traffic.
And it's called Costa Novo.
Praia da Costa Nova.
Ah, Nova.
Nova is Costa Nova, yeah.
Not Novo.
No.
Okay, so it is originally, it's on the ocean. And originally, fishermen went there and they had these, I'm going to call them shanties or shacks. Sea shacks that they stayed in, where they went and they would stay, and then they could go out at 3 a.m. or whatever time they went out in their fishing boats, or they went out at night, and then this was a place to hang during the day before they went out again. And that's kind of what it was. It was a great place to leave from to go fishing. Nobody knows how it really started, but somebody painted their shack.
Well, I can tell you, they...
oh, you know?
Well, they painted them using old boat paint because that's what they had. And they would paint them in a way that they could recognize them from the sea.
Oh, that's right. So they were visible.
Yeah. So if they painted them in these vertical stripes kind of...
So they were blue and white, or...
which one to go to. Yeah.
Or red and white, or yellow and white, or something. And you've got pictures on the blog.
Oh, there's pictures on the blog. And you can even Google Costa Nova, and you're going to see... they're famous.
They are, very. So then that kind of grew, and people moved out there, and it became the way to paint your house. And now it has mostly turned into either vacation homes that the family still owns, or Airbnbs, or Furberos. I don't know what they are, the rental homes. it's a little touristy now.
But I think this is where I ended up in tears at the end of the day.
Here was all ready to go home. But it is also gorgeous. It is so pretty. Those houses are just really neat. And what I loved is there are Art Deco houses that are kind of tucked in. So you'll have these striped houses. They all go in this, the main row. It's just one long row. What is that, half a mile long or?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And so you'll have stripes. And then all of a sudden you have this gorgeous Art Deco house that is not painted in stripes. And then you'll go stripes. And then there'll be another one. There were probably, 4 or 5 of them stuck in between all the stripe ones in that big row. And of course, well, not you. For those of you that don't know me, those were my favorites. I just love that style of architecture. So I took a lot of pictures of those. And a lot of them were not in great shape.
No.
So,
and some of them were for sale or being sold at the time.
Yeah. So at any rate, look for those too if you like that kind of architecture.
Definitely. And it's a neat, that area is, of course, vacation land out there. There's beaches. There's the Lighthouse of Aveiro, which is the tallest lighthouse in Portugal. I know, I learned something new the other day.
Who knew?
Yeah, we didn't go out to, when you come in on that main road, you can go off to the right and you can see the lighthouse, and there's the Praia da Barra. I think that's the name of the beach.
Okay.
And I mean, there's beautiful beaches here all over the place, and Aveiro is no exception to that.
Yes.
And then if you go left, like we did, because we went down specifically to see the houses of Costa Nova, you can, go down that way, and it just kind of keeps going for a while.
And we should say that, really, there's a lot of other houses that aren't in this striped fashion, but there's this area down by the beach where they are like that. But it was a pretty small town on the beach. If you wanted to go down and see the striped houses and have lunch or dinner, if you're in a car, kind of ride around the rest of the town, or maybe even go to the beach. I mean, you don't need more than a day there.
No, unless you just want to lay on the beach.
Right, unless you're just going to go stay and be at the beach. But if you're in Aveiro and you want to see them, then you can pop down there and see those. They were fun.
They were. We also took another short day trip from Aveiro to Águeda.
We did.
All right, and the only reason that we went to Águeda is the reason that everybody goes to Águeda. Because of the Sky Umbrella Project, or the Umbrella Sky Project.
There you go.
It's called. And so in this beautiful little town of arts and crafts, they have arranged for all between the buildings, there is a sky of umbrellas. They've just tied them up so it's like a ceiling.
Like a ceiling, yes. And this town did not attract tourists when they started this, or before they started that. It was just a regular Portuguese town where people lived and worked and went about their business. And now it has become a bit of a tourist destination because it is really cool to see them. So if you can picture standing at the end of a street and looking down about, 500 meters or something down this long street, not even that far really, 200 meters maybe. But above your head are upside down umbrellas that are hung, and they're all the same. So
they're not upside down.
They're not upside down?
No, the handles are down.
Oh, you're right. They're right side up.
Yeah,
you are correct. I beg your pardon.
Yeah. No, they're...
So, but on one street, they'll all be the same. So there were ones that were all rainbow colored. They were the multicolored ones. Then there was another one that had, I don't remember what they were.
They got solid ones, but they were multicolored.
And they had the flowers hanging down from them.
Flowered like one.
Yeah, so all the different little streets that branch off are kind of different themed. And it was cool to see it.
It's very cool to see.
And there's some cool street art has popped up on that main street anyway.
Yes.
Where the rainbow colored ones are, which is what the most of the pictures you'll see.
Yeah.
But it was a fun side trip.
They also, in the summertime, have a huge arts and crafts festival with music and art installations and kind of thing. And when we were there in July, they were either setting up or taking down for a festa.
Yeah.
And it was a huge one because they had a huge building out there.
Yeah, and we never did really find out whether it was going up or coming down, but it must be about the end of July.
Yes, yeah.
When they do it. And most of the festas in all these different towns are usually the same week or weekend every year. So
yeah, whatever weekend it
must be toward the end of July.
Yeah. Speaking of festa, that might be our next podcast. Because, we have participated in many a festa this summer.
We have.
5 or 6 of them, whether it's been like we went to the medieval festival, we've done the festas around town, that kind of thing. So we'll be talking about that in another podcast because that is a whole different story.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
But June, July, August, festa time.
It is. So to kind of wrap up this road trip series.
Oh, yeah.
After we did all that, we came home.
We did. Because I'd had it. With the tourists, with the heat, with everybody.
Yeah, it was so hot while we were gone.
It was.
It is not a time we would necessarily recommend going to the interior portions of Portugal. But again, as we said before, it's when we had the dogs booked for and when another trip canceled, we decided just to take off in the car.
And we won't be doing that ever again.
But it was fun.
It was fun. I wouldn't, take it back.
Yeah. We had a great time.
I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah. We had a great time. Okay. So I think that's it.
I think we're done with Aveiro.
Happy 1 year of podcasting to us.
Woohoo!
And I think with that, we'll say boa tarde.
Boa tarde. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. If you would like to reach out to us or ask questions, you can find us on our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can also follow us at our website, www.forus.com. That's www.forus.com. Hope to hear from you soon. Obrigada!